Hello everyone and welcome to this Laravel Livewire tutorial. So today we are going to be diving into the Laravel Livewire and understanding what it is and why it is used. So Laravel Livewire is a library that allows you to build dynamic user interfaces with Laravel. It offers a simple and elegant way to handle interactions with your user interface without the need of any JavaScript. So this makes it easier and faster to build app web, that is dynamic web application. So why use Laravel? So Laravel Livewire makes it easier to build dynamic web application as it takes care of all complexities of JavaScript and offers simple and elegant solution. With the Laravel Livewire, you can build dynamic interfaces with just a few lines of code, making it easier and faster to build complex web application. So in this tutorial, we are going to be covering the basics of Laravel Livewire, and by the end, you'll have a solid understanding of what it is and how it can be used to build dynamic web application. So let's get started. So in this step, the first step, so I'm going to do it this one. I'm going to do it in steps. So the first step is installation and setup. So in this section, we'll be covering the installation and setup of the Laravel and creating a new project. So first, let's make sure we have the necessary requirements. So you'll need a PHP and a composer because those are the ones I'm using installed on your system. So you can check if you have this two softwares running by running the following commands. So you can just come here and type PHP v to see what version of PHP. For mine, I'm having 8.2.0, and then you can also check the composer by running the composer v, which is like that. And you can see my composer here is it is this one. So it is version is 2.5.1. Now once you have this installed, we can start by creating a new Laravel project. So to do this, we'll use the following command. So here, what we're going to do here, now I'm on my XAMPP htdocs. So what I'll do here, I'm going to run composer create project, and then here we'll have this prefer dist, and then I'm going to have Laravel /Laravel, and then the name of your project. So here I'm going to give a Laravel Livewire, maybe something like crash course, although this name looks big, but it's okay. So I'm going to have that, and then I'm going to hit enter, and then we'll wait for it to install, which should not take much time. Now once this is installed, what I'm going to do, because now it is installed here, so what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to open that folder just like that. Now that we have our project set up, we can install Laravel Livewire. So to do this, we'll use the following command so that we can begin. So here run composer require Livewire / Livewire. So run that command and click enter. So this will install the latest version of Laravel Livewire into our project, and that's it. So we have successfully installed Laravel and set up a new project with Laravel Livewire. So in the next section, we'll dive into the basics of Laravel Livewire and how it works. Now, so let's now begin with components. So components is the first thing that we're going to begin with. So now in this section, we're going to dive into the art of Laravel Livewire and learn about components. So a component in Laravel Livewire is a reusable piece of UI that can be rendered on the page and can also interact with the server. So think of it as a custom HTML tag that you can use throughout your application. So let's start by creating a new component. So to do this, we run a command in our terminal. So here I'm going to run this command, php artisan make. So here we're going to give, of course, the Livewire like that, and then here we're going to give the name of the component. So for example, I can just write it component so that it can be relevant. So component, or I can just write, for example, since we just want, maybe I write it post, just the name of the component, and then click enter like that. So this one I'm going to hit it no, so we really don't need that. So this will create two files, of course, for us. So a blade template and a PHP class. So in the blade template, we can define the following HTML in our component. So here, just come in here from the hub and then come to HTTP. So here you're going to find the component which has been created like that. And then now when you go to where now, let's go to resources and then views and then Livewire. So this is now the PHP class. Now this is the blade template. So that's how Laravel works. So here within our component, for example, we can have something like this. Now this part here which says return view livewire.post, this one is the one that returns this blade here, you can see here. So and then you also need to know that within our component is it's where we write the logic for our application. So here okay, so sorry, let's begin with post blade. So here, let me remove this. So here I'm going to have an h1 here like that, and then within this h1 I'm going to have those curly brackets, and then I'm going to reference a title like that, and then I close this that way, and then I'm going to have body. So here I'm going to have this like that. So that one I'm going to have that one, and then in the PHP class we're going to, so in the PHP class we can define the behavior and data for a component. So for example, we can have something like this. So here so we're going to define two variables, and of course you can see what we had in the post. We had title and body. So here I'm going to define title like this, that title, okay. And then remember this is PHP, so we are going to have that, and then we're going to have another public for now the body, which should be that way. So I'm having those two, and then here I'm going to have a public function mount like that. Now within the public mount, this is what we are going to, so I'm going to reference whatever I've just written there. So I'm going to use this keyword here, which of course is used to reference a particular variable within our application. So within this title I'm going to give this as so here I'm going to have something like hello world. So here we have hello world like that. So here that's what we have, hello world, and then just close this and then come to, so here I'm having so here I'm going to reference the body as well. So now this is not the variable we are referencing should not have this PHP because it's just the variable itself, so we don't need to have that. So the next one is this is So this is my first Laravel Livewire component, like that. So here you can put a, and then you can have that within our application. So what will happen now, this will be called upon once we have defined the two variable, and then function mount. So sorry, this is a function, so we should have those. I think that's all. So that's it. So so here now we so now that so that now that we have our basic component setup, so let's use it in one of our views. To do this now, we'll need to use a Livewire blend directive. And in this case, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to come to this point here. So I'm going to make within these views here, you can see we have the post blade, of course. Now this welcome blade is the one that is returning, for example, when you run this application. So by running PHP artisan serve like that, and I also need to have my XAMPP set up because I'm using XAMPP here. So I have these two like that, and so let me remove this. So basically this is what we have. So the welcome blade is just returning this. So what I want to do here is that so this is what I want to do. So I want to change this to something else as well. I can also just come here. Okay, let me not remove the welcome blade. So what I'll do here within this views, so here I'll just come here and create home.blade.php like that. And then here I already have a boilerplate code which I'll explain. Let me just copy it. Now this is what is going to run this application. Now look at this part here. Now this code here, what it does is just it's just having a Livewire tutorial for beginners. It is calling the Livewire styles from the Livewire resource, and then here I just have a title which says with some HTML which says Livewire basics, and then here I have I'm going to call the component. So here is where you call the component for it to be rendered, and then here is also calling the script. So within the scripts, that is JavaScript. So within the Livewire resources, we can call the script. So here, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to replace this instead of my component. So I'm going to call post like that. So post, of course, is this one. I can see it has caps, so it should have caps like this. And then I need now to go to web.php within the routes. So here now I'm no longer going to call the welcome page, but I'm going to call the home page like that. And let's see this in action. So here we have unable to find component post. Let me see again. So what's happening here? So here we have this resource, and then so what is happening here, I just need to come to blade, and I discover this just needs to be the way it is. So here, upon changing this one, it should now work. So this should be now our first Livewire component. So that's how we come up with components within Laravel. What we have just done, we have created the components. So two files, postblade.php, and then this one for our logic for our application. So that's what we have done. So that's it. So our component is now rendered on the page, and we can even interact with it in real time by updating the data in the PHP class. So in the next section, we will learn how to pass data to components and interact with them using JavaScript events. But for now, let's celebrate. the fact that we have just created our first Laravel Livewire component. So let's just begin in the next. Now, in the next part, or in this part now, we are going to look at data binding. So what is data binding? So in this section, we'll dive into the powerful feature of Laravel Livewire data binding. So data binding allows you to dynamically update the view without the need for a page refresh. So we will start by creating a new component to showcase this feature. First, we will create a new component using the Livewire CLI, that is command line interface. So in your terminal, run the following command here. So here, I just want you to come here and run this. So PHP artisan. So here we are going to have make Livewire, and then here we are going to give this as data component. So we are going to have something like PHP artisan make Livewire component, and then we are going to run that. So here what we have is class and view. So we have the first part here is data component.php, and then we have data component.blade.php. So that is what we have. So so now that's it. So this will generate a new component file in the app http livewire directory. So open the file and let's add a property to bind the data to the view. So in this case, so let's look for the data component. So we have another one here. So here we are going to have, I want you to update this with this. So here I'm going to define message, and then here I'm going to, so here that's what we need. Now next we'll create the view file for this component. So create a file in the resources views Livewire directory named data component.blade.php, and so that's what we have. So I'm going to remove that. So here I'm going to have input type is equal to text, and then within the text we are going to have wire model, which is equals to message, and then here we're going to have the p tags. Now here we are going to call that message that we created. So what we have here, we are going to call the message like that. So in the view, we have added an input field with a wire model directive. This directive binds the value of the input field to the message property in our component. So as you type in the input field, the value of the message property will be updated, and in the view, we will dynamically update to show the new value. So finally, let's add the component to application. So open your resources views home.blade.php and add the following line of code. So let's save this, and then let's come here now. Now remember, we have created another component which is called data component. Sorry, it should be data component like this. So we have this. I believe it should be able to work. Let's see this. Okay, so we need to run the PHP artisan. So that is what we have. Let's see what is working. It's unable to find the component. these components, why are they having? So here you just need to have the data component. So this is what I've noticed. So what you need to do here, you just need to come and fetch this, and then just come and add it to the on blade, and so you're good to go. So this should now be that way. So what will happen here is I type a message here, for example, so this is my first Livewire tutorial. Let's say something like that. So what is happening is that as you are typing, it is updating this information lively. So that is one of the features with Laravel Livewire. So what is there is that that is called an data binding, and that's how it happens. So next part, let's go to the event handling. So in this section, we look at how to handle events in Laravel Livewire. So to get started, let's create a simple form component that submits data to the server. First, create a new component using the following artisan command. So PHP artisan, you are going to have make a Livewire form. So here we're going to have a form, of course, and the form we are going to give it a name, submit form, like that, and we click enter. So this is going to create of course the two classes. So we have this, and then we also have this here. So next, let's update the submit form.php with the following code. So submit form.php here, I'm going to add this code here. So the first one here I'm going to add is the public message variable. So I'm going to have that variable defined like that. Now here on down here, I'm going to create another function here. So this function is going to be function render, like this. Sorry, it's not function render, it will be function submit. Function submit, and then within the submit button, I'm just going to reference this. So you're going to reference this message, which is the one that is on app. Then you're going to say this is equals to form submitted successfully, like that, and then you're going to close that like that. So what is so here we define a public property message that will be used to store the message displayed to the user after the form is submitted. So the submit method is used to update the message when the form is submitted. So next, let's create a submit form.blade.php file in the resources views/livewire directory with the following code. So let me remove this. This one will need it. So this one was the first one. So this also we don't need. So let's look for the blade. And this is what we have. Okay, so here I'm going to have this. I'm going to use the wire model. Then you're going to have submit dot prevent equals to submit, like this, and then here So down here, I'm going to have an input type is going to be equal to text, and then this is wire model, n equals to message, and then close this. And then we have button type, which is equal to submit. Okay, so now we need to close that, and then we need to have the submit keyword there. And then now we close the form. Now down there, we are going to use an if message just to show that the message has been captured and then submitted. So here I'm going to use at if, and then here I'm going to have this, so message, and then here I'm going to have the p tag like that. And then here I'm going to have the message, and that's it. So the finally, since we have used at if, we are going to have at end if. So we are going to end the if just like that. So it should be that one there. Okay, so what is happening here? We have just now so we are going to we have used the, so here we use the wire submit.prevent directive to handle the form submission and trigger the submit method defined in the component. So the wire model directive is used to bind the input field to the message property. Finally, let's display the component in our view file. So for example, you can add the following code in the home.play.php file so that we can see what is going to happen. So here, so this is what we need to render. So it is just this submit form here that we, so this is what I'm going to update here like that. And then so here I'm going to run this. Okay, so I keep forgetting to run this. So okay, now so here you can submit. So whatever you write here, for example, and then of course it will be updated because you're using the wire model under the data binding. So here you can see the form has been submitted, because what with this code you should now, in other words, the form has been captured, whatever you typed, and then it is submitted. So with this code you should now be able to submit the form and see the message is displayed on the screen. So this demonstrates how to handle events such as form submissions in Laravel Livewire. So with this basic understanding, you can start building more complex components and applications. So that's it under the event handling. So basically that's the event that is going to be captured. So next in this tutorial, we will be looking at Ajax in Laravel Livewire. So making dynamic requests. So Ajax making dynamic requests. So in this video, in this part, we'll be discussing how to make Ajax requests from your components and how to update the view in response to a successful request. Okay, so let's start by creating a new component for the demonstration purposes. So in this example, we'll create a simple form that allows the user to search for products, and then yeah, so let's begin. So first, let's create a model for products by running the following command on your terminal. So we are looking at Ajax making dynamic requests. So here we are going to run this command here. So php artisan make model and then here we are going to have basically the product and then M, like that. So when we run this one, it's going to create several things. So next, let's create a database table for our products. So in the create products table function in your database migration timestamp, under the create products tables.php file. So let's update this code here. Now this code here, I'm just going to copy it. So come in here and then you type, that is, press Ctrl P and then to give you this, and then you can search for the table. So this is the table that has been created. So you're going to come here. So here is where you need to come and just update this. So here what we have here is ID, name, description, and price of the product. So when a user searches for a product, we can either append the name so that when he types the name, the product is able to appear with the name of that product. So now let's create a component for a search functionality by running the following command in your terminal. So here I'm going to run this command. So php artisan make Livewire, and then here we are going to have a product search. So that is what we're going to have. So let's make that. So here we have made the two. So in the product search.php component, let's add the following code to undo the search functionality. So let's come to here we need to find that one. Yes, it is this one. So here we are going to add this functionality. So product search, we're going to have this. So product search, and then here we're going to have so I want us to update this render to something different. So here I just want us to add some code on this one. So here we're going to have a variable products, and then this is equal to product, so the product model which we are going to create, and then here we're going to, so here we are just making a code to search for a product. So here we have name, and then within the name here we have like so what I'm going to search for here is going to be the name. So we are going to use the name to search for this product. So here I'm going to have at this, and then variable of course is going to be search, and then here we're going to close the percentage, going to have this percentage sign, and then lastly we're going to use the get method to get whatever we want. So what is happening here is that we have the like, and then this percentage is going to use this keyword so that we can search for our product within our application, and then once we get it we update it. So under this return view here, I'm going to, remember we are returning the product search. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to add something here. So I'm going to have products, and then products here, sorry, this is going to be at products, like that. So we are just defining the variable so that the variable can be sourced. So what we have done here, we have just made how we can search for the product within our application. Now here, finally, let's make an Ajax request. So here, I think I need to comment this one here. So here we are going to make an Ajax request, so that now the product can be updated. So you're going to make an Ajax request to retrieve the search results from the server. So to do this, we'll use the variable refresh property of the component. And in that case, so in product search.php, which we are in, we are going to add the following code. So this code is going to be this one here. So we're going to have public, then public, we're going to have public, of course, function, and then here we're going to have updated search, and then of course this is a function, so like that. And then we're going to have this, so we're going to have this emit, so this emit, and then updated, and then like that. Okay, now so this is what we have. So what we are doing here, we're just basically using an Ajax request to retrieve the search results from the server. And then once that is done, we're going to have the last function here, which is the mount. So public function mount, and then so this is what we have. So it's this, and then the search, and then you are going to have a request. So I'm going to request in other words, you're going to query. In short, and then not at, but this keyword here is going to reference the search like that. And then of course we close that. So that's it on the function. So what we have done here is just the process, just making an Ajax request so that we can update, you can query and update the searched product within our application. So that is what we have so far. Okay, now we can save that, and then we can go to, so now in the product search.blade.php template, let's add the following code to display the search results here. So we have the product, so that's the blade here, and basically here we just have a simple table. So I'm just going to copy that table, so to not to take much time. So here I'm going to copy and then explain. So what is happening here is that I'm using a wire model here, search, and then the placeholder of course is search for product. So I believe you know that is just HTML. Now I'm going to loop over the search products within the table, and then I'm going to loop over the name, the description, and the price. So once I loop over, using the, of course, whatever we have made on the other end on our product search.php, we are now able to use Ajax request and update the product that will be searched by the user. So down there, you're going to have a script, a JavaScript, through the use of the Ajax. So here I'm going to have a document. So document.add event listener, is going to be input. So we are going to take the input. Of course, this is what you're going to take. And then here I'm going to have input and then the function. So function, of course, the event. Okay, so that's what we have. And then here I'm going to use an if statement. So I'm going to have event dot target that matches. Sorry, where do you write the matches? Okay, so that matches and then we are going to use the wire model there like this, and then we're going to have the wire model being used in such a manner, so whereby here I'm going to so this is what I have. Okay, so let me just complete the code and then explain what we are doing here. So we have window dot livewire dot directive, and then we said we are going to use the refresh property. So that is what we have here. So it's going to be that way, and then we are going to close. So what we have is here is the input event and then the function event. So the function event here should be just one because we have in this one and then closing this one. So that's it. Okay, and then here we are going to target by use of the Livewire model here. So by the use of the Livewire functionality here, we are going to use the wire model. Of course, by now you should be able to know what the wire model does. And then here I'm forgetting something. We need to have this, and then we need to close this with this such as this because of this part here. So basically we're just using the wire model and then the refresh property as we described. So this code makes an Ajax request whenever the user types in the search field and updates the view with the search results from this server. So we save that, and then we need to update the product. So the product.php needs to be updated under the model here. So here what you're going to use, you're going to use the protected fillable so that we can fill our database with this so here I'm going to have the name, I'm going to have description, and then I'm going to have price. So I'm having those three. So the name, description, and price. So that is what is there, and then just save this, and then now once you save this, so you can use, of course, now this database doesn't have anything, so you can use the Laravel's database seeding feature to generate any dummy data for the products table. So here's how you can do it. So here I just want you to come here and create by running php artisan make seeder. So seeder here we are going to make the product, in other words products table seeder like that. So products table seeder, and then we're going to run that like that. So in the products table seeder class, you can add the following code to generate dummy data for the products table. So let's go to where we created the products table seeder here. So where we have the public function run, here is what I want you to come and create. So here you just need to come and create the variable, and then of course within this variable is where you're going to add some of this resource. So here I'm just going to copy this because it's something easy for you to understand. So this is what we have. So here I'm going to copy this, just update some few things here. Okay, so what we are doing here, I believe you have an understanding of seeders. So here we are just creating the name, description, and price. Of course, it is what we have within our model. So this is what we have here. And basically, we are just going to run this so that our database can be seeded. Our table, in short, can be seeded with this dummy data. So that's what we have. So this one means I need to import this class here, like that. That is coming from the products.php. And then what else do we need to use? Let me see if we have. Okay, so this is okay. Okay, so now let's go back to the seed again. So now here, since we have created that, so there's something I need. So in the database seeder class, we call the products seeder class. So basically, you're going to have you just need to come here. So within here, you're going to call this. So you're going to have this. So you're going to call the products, the product should be the caps. So let me just copy this. This is the variable. So let me just copy it to save time. So what we have here is this, and then of course we are calling the class. So we just need to update it that way and then close this like that. So that's it. So and then here of course once so finally run the php artisan command to see the data into the products table by running the php artisan db seed, so that we can seed our data. Now before we do that, I've just remembered, sorry, we did not even create the database. So here we can have this as Livewire crash, maybe crash course, although the name looks big, looks large, but it's okay. So here I need to come here and access my PHP, and then I need to come to new database. Then I need to update this like this. So that's what I have there. Then I save this, and then okay, so now that's what we have there. So I just need to run the db seed. Let me see, there's an issue here. That's the issue. Base table overview. Oh, sorry, we also left something. So I did not run the php artisan migrate because we created the table, but we did not migrate the table. Okay, so that now we can run the db seed. Okay, so that is it. So that is so when you come to this part here, you can see we have the products table there, and you can see it has been seeded with this data here. So we can now start working with something here. Now let's run again this application. So here serve, and then so we have that. So I believe everything is good to go. Products.php, and then we have the product search.php, which is this one here. Okay, so this is it. So there's something we are forgetting. I believe you already know that is. So we need to come to onblade.php, and then within the onblade.php, of course, this should be the product search. So we are returning the product search. So this is what we are returning here. So let me just copy that one and go back to the onblade.php and update it there like that. So let me bring it this one here, and let's see. Okay, so this is what is on the database. So now let's search for product 3, for example. So product 3. So you can see it is able to search for that product and then update the product. Well, so as well as product 2, we are able to search for product 2. You can also update for product 1 and so forth. So that is using Ajax to do that. And basically we are using Ajax within our Livewire tutorial. So searching any product there, we are able to get what we want. So here we just, now you can go ahead and, for example, put price if you want to put the person to search for price, although that one doesn't make sense, but you can do just like that, and then you are able to update your product. So that's it, guys. So let's go to dynamic components. So dynamic components, so here in this example we'll create a component to add and remove task. So let's start by creating a new component by using the following php artisan command. So in this here we are just looking at the dynamic components. Okay, so let's begin. So php artisan make. So here we're going to make the live wire, and the live wire here we're going to make task list, and then click enter like that. Now once that is done, in the task list.php file, add the following code here. So let's look for that file. So we have the two. So this is the file I need. Let me remove this since we are done with this. Let me remove this since we are done with it. Now, so here I want you to create this. So here I'm just going to do the, now by now you should be able now to have an understanding of what you are doing, because here I'm going to define a new task that I want to create, and then once I define that, I'm going to use the public function render to return a view, of course, and then be able also to do some other things. So here I'm going to use this one like this, and then I'm going to have this like that. Now here we can have something like this. So here task, and then I'm going to return all the tasks. Remember, we are looking at dynamic components. So we have the new task like that, and then here this is what we have. So we have this new task, so new task, and then so this I want this to be there, And then now let's define, for example, within the task, you can add a task, you can remove a task based on what is on the database. So here I'm going to begin from there. So let's make the first function. So the first public function. So here I'm going to add a task. That's the function to add a task. And then here I'm going to have the task that I'm going to add. So here I'm going to define the new keyword. And then here I'm going to have the task whereby this task is equal to, sorry, this is here I'm going to reference the task with an arrow, and then here I'm going to say that this new task. So here I'm going to have the new task, which is that one there. And then of course here I'm going to have this save. So we having at this reset. So reset input. Okay, so reset input, and then basically here I'm going to have the other one. So let me see if I can copy this and just edit some few things. So when the person adds a task, we can as well perform a reset. So that's why we have there. So here I'm going to have reset input like that, and then here I'm going to still have, so here I'm only having one thing. So here there's something I'm going to have. So this, and then I'm going to reference the new task. So the new task, whatever you have added. So we are going to have that, because this one is just capturing whatever the person added, and then is able to reset. And then lastly here we are going to have this public function, which is going to remove, of course, the product. So not the product but the task. So, and of course we're going to remove it by the use of an ID. So we're going to get the ID of that particular task, and then of course we remove the task by running this destroy command like that, by targeting the ID of that task. I think that's easy, guys. If you have watched my other Laravel Livewire tutorial, then you'll be able to know that that's how it works. Now this task here, it means I need to create a model for this task here. But before we do that, let me before we do that, let's just continue. So let's go to, so in the task list.php, so let's go to the task list. There's this other task list. So this is the one. So this is what we have. So here what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to make I'm going to start by doing something like this. So I'm going to make an input wire model. So the input wire model here, I'm going to have a new task like this. So the new task, and then of course the type is text, and then there's older, of course, it's going to be add a new task. So the person is able to add a new task, and then I'm going to have a button. So button, and then the button we're going to give it a live wire click, so that when the person clicks, the task is added immediately. So here we're going to have add the task, and then here is add task, and then here we just close, of course, with the button close. Now this is what is so this is the basic. So we are having the wire model to add a new task, and then the wire click, of course, when it clicks, the task is added. Now I'm going to put a styling for this particular a blade template here, and this styling is just this one here. Oh, so this is the styling here. I'm going to explain everything. So what we are doing here, I'm just using a style to style the table. So styling the table, which the table is this one here. So the table has action, and then we have this for each that is looping over the task within the table, and then is now able to present whatever is on the database. Now this ID remember, is this one we created here. So where we are going to remove the ID, this is the part here, is the part that we are doing in this part. So this is the part here. So this is the part. So to delete, and then once you delete, you end the for each. Now this div should not just be one, because you only have one div. Yeah. So this is just this way to remove the task. And then now once that is created, so here to create a database and model for the task list, so we just need to have this in mind. So here we're going to use the same database, although I could have created a separate, but there's no need. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to run the PHP artisan command, so as to create the table, and of course the model. So I'm going to have the task, and then that is it. Sorry, this command is, I forgot the model. Okay, so that is what we have. So now we are able to identify the task .php. Let's first go to the table. So can I identify the table? So where is the table? The table should be, let's see, I think this is the table. Yeah, so this is the table. So the table is that one, and we can update it with this. So here just come and update it with the table, and then we are going to have a string. And then within the string here, I'm going to have task. In other words, just that. So just going to have the task just like that, and then that's all. So this one, we can close this one. Now once that is done, within so before we run we can update, of course, the model. So the model, which is task.php, can be updated like this. So what we need to have here, we just need to use the protected fillable, and then this is a variable, protected fillable, and then of course we're going to have task, because that's only what we have created so far. So that is what we have there. So that is it. So that is done there. Now we can create okay, let me first import this class. Let me first import this class. Let me first import this class. Okay, so where is it? That is it. So that is imported, so that error is gone. Now we have that, and then we have this. So here, I believe you already know. So here, what we need to update here is just, so we are returning the task list. So this is what we are returning here. So this is what I'll need to update here on this part, task list, like that. So, and then what else do we need? Okay, so PHP artisan serve, and then let's update that. Okay, so we have an error of Livewire crash course task does not exist. So base table overview is not found. Okay. Did we migrate? We did not migrate. I believe we did not migrate. So PHP artisan migrate. Yes, we did not do that. I think that's why the error is coming. Let me see. So let's see if, okay. Now here, I don't know why this is it having that, is having on the add task. Oh, okay, so this should not be that way. And then here we can what can we do here? So there's something we can do. So here I can add an HR, which stands for horizontal line in HTML. So I can add something like that just to bring a difference. Now let's see if I add a new task like clean the house. Let's see if you can see now it is able to add wash the dishes. I'm able to add, and as well as take out the trash. Now let's delete one of them. So you can see the delete is also working. So this is what we call dynamic component. So we are able to add a task which will of course be added within your database, and then you are able to do the CRUD functionality, that is the delete. And you can also watch my Laravel Livewire blog tutorial whereby I did a CRUD application for when you want to create a blog. But so far this is what you need to know about dynamic components. Now the last item that I want us to look at today is the, wait, I think we are done. Okay, no, not we are not done. So we now let's check how can we do the server side validation. So how to perform server side validation with Livewire. So to perform the server side validation with Livewire, you just need to first define the rules. Define a rules array in your Livewire component that specifies the validation rules, and then for each field you want to validate. So you can then now use the Livewire's built-in that is this validate method to perform the validation. So here is an example code of how to perform a Livewire component that performs, of course, the server-side validation for the task. So we are just going to use the task. So I just want us to come back here. So you are not going to create any entirely new application. So here, this is what I want us to use. You see on this part, which we have the add task here, we can add a validation item here. So you can have something like so here you have at this, and then here we have this, and then validate, and then what you have here is sorry, this will not be that way, it should be that way, then this. So this validate, so here we are going to have the new task, which is required. Okay, so required, and then we have, now we are just adding a validation to make in order to allow the person to enter only 10 characters. If they are beyond, the person can't be able to enter. So that's what we are doing here. So what we are doing here, we are just taking the new task. Remember, the new task is the main variable that we are using so as to add a task within our application there. So it's very simple. So this validate, so the required maximum characters we are supposed to enter are those ones. Now once that is done, the next place you just need to come to the task list.php. So this is what I want you to do. So you just need to come here, and then after that part you just need to come here and add this line of code. Now this is what it does. Once the validation has occurred, this is just going to input, for example, if there's an error, it is going to throw the error, of course. So that's what we have done here. So we have added this validate. You reference the variable that you want to validate. In this case, the add a new task, and then you just come here and update this way. So now when we can refresh this, so let's say I write clean the house. Let's see what it will have. Max does not exist. Did I write max 1? Oh, sorry, I wrote this is not correct. So clean the house. So you can see here it tells you that the new task must be greater than 10 characters. So that's validation, guys. So let's meet in the next tutorial. Subscribe to this channel, comment below, share this video, and let's meet in the next video. Bye, guys.